Hi guys, welcome back. This time I've got another Saga battle report for you. I borrow a mate of mine's Bretons and try and take on his Vikings. Later on in the year we have a Hastings battle we're going to do. I'm currently working on getting some Bretons together for it. So I'm just practicing here, learning what they can do. Unfortunately we wanted to try out a different scenario as well, and we ended up with Last Stand. In this scenario, both players get to bid how many turns they think, up to the maximum of 10 it will take to completely wipe out all the opponent's models bar the Warlord. Whoever picks the lowest goes to defend. With my Bretons I decided to go for 8, while my opponent with the Vikings is a 9. So I ended up attacking. This means the Vikings had to set up 2 bits of terrain, and they went for two bits of woodland. And they set up everything first, and I come on for my edges. The scenario is I have to wipe everyone out, but on the upside I've also got endless warband, so I'm going to end up throwing my Bretons into combat. So this is probably not how you'll normally see the Bretons acting, but it's an interesting game to say the least. The poor Vikings, who excel at attacking, are on the defense, and my guys who excel on hit and runs are trying to get into combat to wipe them out. Okay, so for the Bretons I decided to go for 1 unit warriors, which I broke down into 2 4-man units of warriors, 1 unit of 6 Hearthguard, and 2 units of 7 Hearthguard. I've bulked up my Hearthguard units just so I can get them into combat and try and wipe out any units my opponent has. I know I've got 1 less armor, but I've still got my 2 attacks anyway, and endless warbands. The Viking, on the other hand, has 2 times 4 Hearthguard, 3 times lots for 8 warriors, and 1 lot of levy with bow, which I'm sure will be a pain in the backside for my easy to hit cavalry models. So the attack gets first turn. For the first turn I don't get to generate any Saga dice, but everyone gets to move onto the board. Infantry can move on from any table edge. Cavalry can only move on from the short table edges, but you measure from the edge of the table. So this is what I went with. I just moved up. My first turn was a bit of a folly. I moved up for my knights here down the bottom to stay out of medium, so you can do no quick charge on me, which is kind of a wasted effort for my first turn, because A, I could have moved into shooting range and shot them, and even if they charged me I have endless warbands, and I would at least take some casualties down early on. In my opponent's turn he starts trying to get his Hearthguard into the cover and spends some action to start removing some of the fatigue. Over here I could do like a conga line down through the middle of some of the warriors he has and throw my javelins at one of the units. I had to go into a conga line, unfortunately, because I had to stay 2 inches away from everybody, and they were quite close. I then charged in with my other Hearthguard unit here and did my ability to shoot in combat, throw some extra skills in, and then I did a combat attack. The rest of the board I just moved up my Warlord with a group of warriors. I'm keeping the warriors back just to generate Saga dice for me with the Warlord and try and get my Hearthguard doing what they can. And as you can see there in that combat, I managed to wipe out the remainder of those warriors. I lost just a couple of knights, and that's how things are looking. So more of his infantry try and scram and hide into the woods as quickly as they can. Obviously, if you haven't read Crescent and Cross, nowadays the cavalry will gain a fatigue for entering into difficult terrain. So the board's looking somewhat like that. He also uses some other actions just to move his Warlord away in a minute and try and get the warriors down that bottom left hand side just to get away from my incoming knights. So with my Hearthguard that went into the last combat, they ended up within 2 inches of the enemy. So if I moved them, they'd have had to charge in. So I decided to charge in with my bigger unit. I went in there and did my same trick as before. I threw a round of javelins in there using my Saga abilities, and then just went for gold and attacked them. But unfortunately I only managed to drive them back with loss of a few more, but it does mean I'm gaining some more Hearthguard in a minute to come on with my endless warbands. Now the unit that did have fatigue on it, I rested them, and then, no I didn't, I charged them around the corner to have a throw of some javelins at the chaps in the woods there, his Hearthguard. He used my fatigue to gain some armor, and I think I managed to kill off only one. So at the end of the turn it's looking something like that. You can also see I brought my other Hearthguard unit down. These guys actually threw some javelins in before the combat just to get a few more casualties. So those warriors there did pretty well to pretty much dodge all my damage, though I did think he was using a Viking ability, giving him +1 armor against shooting. So again, in the Viking player's turn, he moves the remainder of his warriors and his warlord into the cover. So everyone's in cover now. My guys are either going to be shooting, with him having the defense roll of 3 up, or trying to get into combat and probably take at least 1 fatigue just for getting into the terrain itself. Okay, so it's back over to my turn. On the left hand side there, I throw a few more javelins at the Hearthguard in the woods. I also use my big unit there just to finish off the last of the warriors. And things stay as they are. I think my little unit also charged into those warriors. I lost a few more chaps, but I wasn't too bothered about it because, as I say, I got endless warbands, and I think next turn I'll be bringing on some more Hearthguard. So that's just the view from the other side, and see at the end of the turn there. Okay, so at the end of my opponent's turn, he just put some defensive abilities up. He moved his Hearthguard further into the woods. This means I couldn't have an easy charge at them, or because obviously going into the woods itself is going to reduce my cavalry down to a medium. So I'm just going to have to move around. He also put the larger unit of Hearthguard unit in behind the smaller unit to try and protect them, and give them less chance of losing some SAGA dice. But luckily enough for me, my guys had the movement there to be able to get all the way around, and flung some more javelins. This time I had the abilities that allow me to deny his cover, and allow me to re-roll 1s and 2s against the shooting, and managed to finish with the 2 Hearthguards that were there. The other chaps didn't gain fatigue. Units destroyed nearby, only if it's destroyed in melee do they suffer fatigue, so obviously they don't mind watching their friends being shot. I bring my big unit back over here and throw some javelins at the levy. I think I might manage to kill 1 off or something like that. Also, on the left hand side, I've also moved my warlord in behind my warriors just in case he wanted to get some shots off with his archers there. I don't mind him killing the warriors, but I don't want any shots on my warlord just in case I do something daft. My opponent was playing the waiting game. He didn't want to come out to try and fight anything, so my following turn looks like this. You can see just on my board there, I've rolled up some 6s and just chucked it to get as many actions as I can here. I've also brought in some more Hearthguard on the left hand side there on the top of the board, and my turn starts looking something like this. Also this turn, that unit I've got there with 2 fatigue, I sent them in against his warlord. I thought that'd be a done deal because obviously he mistakenly put them next to the levy, which he can't pass any wounds onto. But I went in there, of course, I think it was a 2nd move, and also had to go into the terrain. So it was 2 fatigue for me. He spent 1 fatigue just to raise his armor, and I did nothing to him. Unfortunately, I did like 2 wounds and he saved 1 of them. In return, he might have killed 1 of my guys off about that, but in the end I had to bounce. Again, I hurled a few more javelins in, managed to kill 1 more of these guys off. So, unfortunately, this is the last picture of the game. My knights went in there and finished all but 4 of the warriors off, and I think that ended my turn 6. So we had 2 turns left to play. My opponent looked at it and didn't reckon he could hold out for the 2 turns. He wasn't having too much fun, so we called it there, which was fair enough. This game was an interesting game. Both of our armies were completely the wrong design for what this game scenario was set to be, which is okay. You know, it's nice to try something different. But if you're, especially when you're the Vikings and you have 0 defensive abilities, yeah, this is a hard scenario to play. Hopefully, shortly, next week, I'm going to get a game with my Bretons, doing what Bretons do and doing some hit and run tactics. Because using these wave tactics for my Bretons seems very uncharacteristic and not really what my Bretons do best. In fact, I was looking at my board to try and get as many combat abilities as I can, and there weren't any. So basically I had to charge into combat and shoot in combat with my abilities to get the extra attacks I needed to do damage. So it's a very bizarre game. The scenario I think could work with some. I don't think I would use this scenario in a tournament because it's very biased towards defensive armies. I think my Anglo-Saxons would do much better in defending this scenario, just because you've got so many troops you have to munch your way through, um, and I have all the defensive abilities to make that a lot harder work. Also, I happen to have this time an army which was based around very few types. In this case, mostly Hearthguard. So when Endless Warband came into play, every time I was losing, one or two Hearthguard, it soon added up, and I soon had a new unit back. If I had a proper mixed army, a couple of warriors with bows and maybe some dismounted knights with great weapons from the Crusader lot, this scenario as the attacker would be much harder. You'd be basically hoping to wipe out an entire unit to be able to bring a unit back on. So, excuse me, interesting game. I would try this again later, but definitely not with the Bretons, and definitely not against the poor old Vikings. Hey guys, thanks a lot for all your support. I think I'm 4 away now from 300, so I'm nearly there. I've got my 300 giveaway. To find out a bit more, just check out the video which says 300 giveaway, and let's see what you need to do for a chance to win a signed copy of War and Conquest. This is large-scale battles for 28mm models. Think of your Warhammer Ancient style, Clash of Empires, that kind of esque style. Great little game, and at the moment I'm looking at it just to get back into my fantasy, funny enough, as he has an adapted rules called War and Sorcery. Hopefully I can get my Empire back out, since good old Games Workshop seems to have wiped out Warhammer for a moment. So thanks for watching guys, and please subscribe, and hopefully you can support it just a bit longer.